Shifting focus now to what's transpiring in our neighborhood, and there seems to be a dangerous trend that's playing out in Bangladesh. CNN News 18 has learned that Bangladesh's parliamentary election, which is just around the corner, is shaping up to be an unusually polarized contest. The ruling Awami League is out of the race. They have been banned from any election participation. Several smaller parties stepping aside amid what sources describe as a climate of fear and pressure. So that means there are only very few contenders, and the biggest one seems to be the Jamaat. The Jatiya Party filed nomination from 200 constituencies. It is under legal and local pressure, is what we're learning from our sources. Its campaign could be restricted in the run-up to the election, which is expected to be sometime in February. The fight is now expected between the BNP-led alliance versus the Jamaat. BNP-led alliance has fielded candidates in 272 seats from what we have learned from our sources. The Jamaat, meanwhile, is contesting independently in 226 constituencies. They've allocated 74 seats to 7 of its allies. The Jamaat has brought the Jatiya Party on board to contest with them. Why is this significant? Why is it that this should be a cause of concern for India? Well, intelligence agencies here in India are closely tracking the Jamaat-e-Islami's rise because this is seen as a potential Jamaat-led government that very well could be taking shape in Bangladesh. And that would spell serious internal security challenge for India, particularly for West Bengal and other parts of the northeast. Now, Jamaat's ideological foundations and historical links to the Islamist mobilization networks are seen as factors that could reshape the security environment along the eastern frontier for India. West Bengal shares a long and porous border with Bangladesh. It's considered to be the most vulnerable by the security apparatus here. This border has historically been exploited by smuggling syndicates, by illegal migration networks and extremist couriers. Intelligence sources warn that even subtle changes in enforcement or political signaling from Dhaka could have ripple effects across several sensitive border districts. So why exactly is this a concern? What should India's strategy be like, and what holds in the future of Bangladesh and of the subcontinent? Let's open that up and decode. Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, security analyst, joins us here. Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhary, Bangladeshi journalist, is with us as well. Mr. Chaudhary, let me begin by asking you, what is the election looking like? What is it shaping to be? Is the Jamaat going to be the front runner? Could they very well be the king, so to say, in Bangladesh when those elections happen next month?
Thank you very much, ma'am. The election in Bangladesh on the 12th of February, I don't see any election at all because the entire state machinery, Yunus and his regime, they are pushing forward the referendum. And even China and Pakistan, they are also pushing forward the referendum. Very surprisingly, 2 days ago, Chinese ambassador in Dhaka, he publicly attended the campaign of the referendum. So Yunus wants to hold the referendum, and then whatever is the outcome of the election, he will emerge into the next Ayatollah of Bangladesh by remaining in power indefinitely with the support of China and Pakistan. And now, as you were saying, talking about the prospect of the election, prospect of the election is publicly we are seeing that BNP may become the winner. But Jamaat-e-Islami is making a beautiful engineering, and they will steal the election result, and they will actually emerge into the winning side. And most interestingly, for your kind information, only yesterday, the press secretary of Yunus has publicly declared that this year, the election counting process will take long time, meaning some kind of the irregular activities. So Yunus is actually having two cards in his hand. One is remaining in power through the referendum, which is illegal under the existing constitution of Bangladesh, or empower and embolden the Jamaat-e-Islami and other Islamist party and become the winner through the election engineering. And then it will ultimately either Bangladesh becomes a Sharia nation or a caliphate, but Yunus will become the head of the government.
So, Lieutenant General Pandey, how much of a trouble that would be? I mean, behind the scenes or in front of the curtain, whichever way, Jamaat is definitely going to have a big hand come post-elections in Bangladesh, and that's something that India is looking at very closely.
Yeah, a little background. I think I'll just add a couple of points. You know, BNP comes to power or NCP comes to power. Both ways, Jamaat will have an influence, not only because Yunus will go for the referendum and he will try and become the Ayatollah equivalent or something in Bangladesh. So the power actually will remain in his hand, and Jamaat or BNP always had a great handshake, and BNP came into power only thanks to Jamaat-e-Islami whenever it came to power. Again, another interesting point is while Awami League went after Jamaat-e-Islami, which by the way did not had much influence some time back, it is the BNP which got the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami lifted, and thereafter they shook hands with them, and then they allowed them to prosper. So I think this issue of what is brewing in Bangladesh was maybe evidenced, and some intelligence must have been available with the government of India, which took a call about a few years back, if you recall, that the areas along the boundary wherever it is, it will be taken control by the central forces, and that was resisted by at least I'm sure by Bengal, West Bengal, that is interfering into their jurisdiction. That is going to be a huge challenge this time, because unlike a caliphate coming up or Islamic radicalization happening onto the western borders, does not affect India much, because those borders are quite well marked, well lined, well fenced, and well protected. Similarly, on this side of the border, the population is not that much denser in a particular religious alignment. But in case of Bangladesh, all along Bangladesh, except for Meghalaya, most of the areas you'll find the population density is towards one side, which is of a certain degree of concern. And these areas are not fenced well enough or protected or defended, while the government sources will say that nothing can fly in or go out or go in. But the reality is known to everybody, and is quite evident in public as well. So that is a huge challenge. So both sides, there is a sensitivity of religion. And please understand, I think on your channel, the Chief Minister Assam's interview was played up.
Yes.
That is very clear that when a time will come when the religion oblique country or the constitution has to take place, you will exactly happen what is happening in Bangladesh, even in these areas. So while a large population which is going to be silent will want to have peace and modernity, but the virulent part of this community which actually ensures that people vote according to one signal which is given to them will take hold. And Jamaat-e-Islami will ensure that they come to power, and they I'm quite sure you are well aware that wherever these people vote, the instructions of the cleric is more important than actually political power which wants to come into that location. So whichever way, it is a major security threat for our country, because these waves are going to be hitting us. In this case, what happens in our neighborhood is going to definitely touch us. Now coming to providing, and if you recall about a few months back, very openly the Pakistani leadership had mentioned that it will be not from the west, the trouble for India will come from the east. And I'm sure they were referring to this and not to anything else. They knew something much more which was unknown to common public, to ourselves, but they made an open statement. So when this will happen, we are surely looking at a three-front activity. It may not be in terms of conventional, but surely in terms of internal security challenges. We have to very look carefully onto this side of towards Bangladesh.
But the kind of momentum that the Jamaat seems to be getting, Shoaib Chaudhry, is that something that is just a concern? Is that something that is a concern that can be allayed, those fears can be allayed, or is that something that is actually happening on ground? I mean, the kind of momentum that they are using, especially with the young voters, with students there's money exchanging hands and all sorts of allegations in that sense coming out. Is that really what's transpiring in Bangladesh?
Ma'am, as you know, if we look into the electoral demography of Bangladesh from 1972 to 2024, Jamaat-e-Islami and all Islamic parties combined, they never got more than 7% of the vote. So their vote bank is exactly 7%. Now, what Jamaat-e-Islami is looking for, Jamaat-e-Islami has also formed alliance with all the Islamist parties, but again, it is below 7%. Jamaat is actually going to steal the election result, and Yunus will definitely facilitate that. And Pakistan and the China, they will also love to see Yunus in power and Jamaat become his so-called second force. So with Jamaat, I would like to also humbly say that once Jamaat and the Islamists come to power, remain in power, they already are in power. De facto ruling party is Jamaat now, but once they become the ruling party, yes, after the so-called election, and Yunus becomes the Ayatollah, then what will happen? All the Islamist jihadist groups in Bangladesh, for example, Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, all are existing in Bangladesh now. Together and unitedly, under the directives of China and Pakistani ISI, they will try to create anarchy and terrorism inside India and other countries in the region. So this is a very serious condition, ma'am.
Absolutely, it's an issue that Bangladesh should be concerned with, India should be concerned with, and it's an issue that could spell trouble for the entire subcontinent. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time. I have to thank you both gentlemen for joining us here and sharing your perspective.